Uh, Assalamu alaikum. As some of you might know that TED stands for Technology, Entertainment and Design. तो टेक्नोलॉजी तो हमने यहाँ पे देख ली, जिसके ऊपर जवाद पराचा साहब ने भी स्पीच दी, और डिज़ाइन के भी काफ़ी पर्सपेक्टिव्स हमने देखे। लेकिन एंटरटेनमेंट पर इतनी कोई ख़ास बात नहीं हुई है। एंटरटेनमेंट में देखा जाए तो कराची में काफ़ी नामवर शख्सियात गुजर चुकी हैं, जिनमें से एक ज़िया मोहिउद्दीन साहब थे, जो अभी कुछ ही अरसा पहले वसाल पा चुके हैं। ज़िया मोहिउद्दीन साहब वैसे तो किसी तारुफ के मोहताज नहीं है, जो कि नेशनल एकेडमी ऑफ परफॉर्मिंग आर्ट्स नापा के फाउंडर थे। अब ज़िया मोहिउद्दीन साहब की एक नज़म जो नून मीम राशिद साहब की वो पढ़ा करते थे, काफ़ी मशहूर है। मैं आप लोगों के पेश खिदमत करना चाहूँगा। अब ज़िया साहब का मैं अंदाज तो नहीं ला सकता, लेकिन एक कोशिश कर सकता हूँ आप लोगों को एंटरटेन करने की। तो नून मीम राशिद साहब लिखते हैं, जिंदगी से डरते हो, जिंदगी तो तुम भी हो, जिंदगी तो हम भी हैं। जिंदगी से डरते हो, आदमी से डरते हो, आदमी तो तुम भी हो, आदमी तो हम भी हैं। आदमी से डरते हो, आदमी ज़बां भी है, आदमी बयां भी है, उससे तुम नहीं डरते। हर फरमाइनी के रिश्ता है आहन से, आदमी है वाबस्ता, आदमी के दामन से जिंदगी है वाबस्ता, उससे तुम नहीं डरते। अनकही से डरते हो, जो अभी नहीं आई उस घड़ी से डरते हो, उस घड़ी की आमद की आगही से डरते हो। पहले भी तो गुजरे हैं दौर ना रसाई के, बेरिया खुदाई के, फिर भी ये समझते हो हेज आरज़ूमंदी, ये शबे ज़बाबंदी है राह खुदाबंदी। तुम मगर ये क्या जानो, लब अगर नहीं हिलते, हाथ जाग उठते हैं। हाथ जाग उठते हैं रूह का निशान बनकर, नूर की ज़बां बनकर। हाथ बोल उठते हैं सुबह की अज़ां बनकर। रोशनी से डरते हो, रोशनी तो तुम भी हो, रोशनी तो हम भी हैं। रोशनी से डरते हो, शहर की फसीलों पर देव का जो साया था पाक हो गया आखिर। रात का लिबादा भी चाक हो गया आखिर, खाक हो गया आखिर। इज़्दिहाम इंसा से फर्द की नवा आई, ज़ात की सदा आई। रात राह शौक में जैसे राह रू का खून लपके, एक नया जुनू लपके। आदमी छलक उठे, आदमी हंसे देखो, शहर फिर बसे देखो। तुम अभी से डरते हो, हाँ अभी तो तुम भी हो, हाँ अभी तो हम भी हैं, तुम अभी से डरते हो। Now I'd like to call my co-host Alize Rashdi to come and continue the show.
She does painting, sketches, sculptures that reflect her interest in Islamic art, culture, nature. She is someone who enjoys heights, aircrafts, and a career in aviation. She's a daughter, a sister, a friend, a student. But most importantly, she's a woman who aspires to excellence. Keat feels honored to have such aspiring and brilliant students that desire to bring a change in society and become an example for future generations. Please put your hands together for none other than Nusha Zuberi, student of Keat, at this stage of TEDx.
He also passed away. Now, as I earlier told you, he was the son of a renowned politician, someone who was also a philanthropist. He wasn't someone who was very good with people. People were not really fond of him. They disliked him because of his nature, because the way he used to deal with public. What happened is that after losing both of his parents, all the land, all the properties was taken away. Now, this was a child who had the pressure of taking care of his siblings, of providing a shelter over their head. He was someone who didn't have money to invest in his own self. He could not study. He could not do anything. But what did he do? What happened? What happened is that he used his resilience. He didn't have money to go to a better city to earn something for his family. He used to carry sacks of flour on his back, weighing as much as him. But he knew how to use his resilience. He was someone who did not have 5 rupees to travel from Nawabshah to Lahore. But once he went to Lahore, he started from nothing. You know, we live in a world, in the corporate world, you need to have good communication skills. You need to have something through which you can communicate. English is a necessity. It is important to know English because you cannot work in a corporate environment if you do not know it. And someone coming from a city like Nawabshah would obviously not possess it after losing his parents at 11. So what did he do? He started from nothing. He started from the lowest possible grade. And he ended up being a director in a very well-reputed firm. This person who did not have money to travel to another city has traveled to 50 plus countries now. So how does he inspire me? How does his story collapse with mine? Well, what is resilience? It is a multi-faced concept encompassing personal growth. It is the ability to bounce back after facing failures. It is the ability to use your failures as a stepping opportunity. Resilience is the power to remain focused and determined in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. It is the strength to adapt and resolve. You ask me, how do I relate to him? Well, if I talk about myself, then when I was in school, I wasn't really a good student. I was bad at studies. Well, it's something pretty normal. You are not supposed to be a geek at education. Like, not every child is the same. But we have our strengths, which we can use. But they need to be objectified. They need to be clarified. I was a subject of critic and torment. Why? Well, I made a diagram. I was in class 5. I made a diagram which did not really look good. Obviously, school is a place where you learn and innovate. You are not supposed to copy and paste, but instead you are supposed to test your limits. However, that wasn't the case with me. But how did resilience come into me? It is not solely dependent on external factors. It is dependent on your emotions, your mental health, your physical health. It is an inner flame that burns within every one of us. It is something which is waiting to be kindled. Resilience is a lifelong journey of self-discovery, a path that invites us to explore our strengths, confront our weaknesses, and embrace our failures. One key element to resilience lies in our mindset, the way we perceive things, the way we interpret the challenges that life throws our way. A resilient mindset allows us to see setbacks as opportunities for growth and change. It enables us to view future as a stepping stone for success, and disappointment as a catalyst for resilience. Can you please put up my slides? So I did tell you about the diagram I made, right? I was very bad at it. I was tormented for that. But look where I stand now. The time between COVID and the year which I spent at home, I wanted something to do. It reminded me of the time when I was tormented for the diagram I made. And I saw Islamic calligraphy, which inspired me. I did not know that I would be so good at it that after displaying it somewhere, this is a mandala art, one of the most difficult art in the world. It is very hard to do. It is very intricate, very mesmerizing. Another calligraphy I have done. Another surah. This is a whole surah. Look how pretty it looks. You know, after displaying this, I got an opportunity. I was told that I will be offered 1 million rupees to start up. to make this a startup. I was also told there was this person who came up to me and he was like, there is a building in construction next to your university. And I'm talking about the city campus, which is at Share Faisal. He told me that there is this office in process and they need paintings to, hang up in the whole building. They need around 180 to 200 buildings. So do you have people who work for you? I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to answer. I did not know what to say and what to express. I didn't know how to express myself. But what did I do? I told him that this isn't something I want to sell. This is something which I love to do. This is something through which I can show myself to people. This is something through which people can see me. Cultivating a resilient mindset, it equips us with the tools to navigate the unpredictable future. It is the grace and determination which leads us to success. Resilience is not a static trait. It is a muscle that needs to be exercised, like physical exercises. Builds strength and endurance. Facing and overcoming challenges fosters resilience. Each time we encounter a problem or a setback, and we choose to rise again, our resilience grows. It is through these processes that we discover the depths of our nature. It is through these processes we know that what are we capable of. Resilience is not something only you are responsible for. In a world rife with uncertainty and volatility, resilience is not an option. It is a necessity. It is not a choice. It is a necessity. You need to have it. The global challenges we face, be it global warming, economic crisis, or pandemics, they need us, not on individual basis, but on collective basis. If I talk about the time period when I wasn't really good at studies, it comprises of 10 years. 10 years of being tormented. But then it only took one presentation for me to stand here. I was in the first semester and the presentation I gave inspired and impressed my instructor so well that he told me that he wants me to give the same presentation again. Now, I was a student of first semester, obviously. So I thought that, okay, I'll give the presentation. And in my mind, I was thinking that I'll give the presentation in another class of first semester. But turns out I was standing in the class of MBA. People 4 to 5 years senior than me were sitting in front of me and I was on the stage. Do you think it was easy for me after being tormented for 10 years for not being confident enough, for being underconfident, for not being good enough, standing at that stage in front of those senior people giving presentation? And I saw my instructor sitting at the back being so proud of me that he stood up and clapped for me. It was that moment when I knew that, okay, this is where my new journey starts. This is something new which is going to start. And from there, I rose. All the instructors I had helped me to be what I am today. They gave me the stage. They gave me the opportunities to be who I am. I thank all of those instructors, all of those teachers, which I saw in these 4 years, mainly because if it wasn't for their collective resilience, if it wasn't for their collective efforts for me, then I wouldn't be here. It is not easy to stand in front of such a huge public and speak, especially for someone who wasn't really aware of all this since the young age. But look where I am standing. My aim of telling you this story is just to tell you that there are students sitting here who think they are not good enough to stand here. But I'll tell you, you are better than me. You deserve to be here more than I do. Your stories should not be unheard. You should speak for yourself. You should take these opportunities very seriously. You should stand up and you should bring something truthful. Bring your own story on your lips. You should not be afraid of admitting who you are. What I want to say is that to change this world, we need to bring a change to ourselves. One resilient step at a time. Thank you.
Introducing Kamran Ali Khan, an engineer, professor, technology consultant, and a rather captivating media personality. With 25 years of experience in teaching computer science and hardware, Kamran brings a wealth of knowledge to the TEDxKIET stage. As the head of e-learning at AIM Australia, he's at the forefront of technological advancement. Kamran is also known for his groundbreaking work, merging religion, science, and spirituality, captivating audiences with his thought-provoking shows. His motivational speaking and expertise as a quantum spiritualist make him a truly captivating speaker. Get ready to be inspired as Kamran Ali Khan shares his profound insights in his talk on the amalgamation of religion, science, and spirituality. Welcome Kamran Ali Khan, KIET's very own, to the TEDxKIET Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum. Since childhood, I've been a very inquisitive person. A boy who wanted to know the truth. A boy who wanted to know everything. I still remember that when a toy of mine got broken, and earlier in the morning I saw a quarrel on the street, I somehow wondered, was there a link between the breaking of the toy and that quarrel? So, I don't know. Perhaps I was a born researcher, a born philosopher, a born thinker. I don't know. But, and obviously at that time I did not realize, but I was always trying to go into the core of things, trying to know the why of everything. It was not very late when I discovered that this particular quest is perhaps one of the greatest quests of human history. And today science is looking for a theory of everything, a theory which tells us how everything, including the psychological concepts, the philosophical concepts, the things which we take for granted, the things which are in our emotions, the things which are in our behavior, the things to which science has not yet paved its doorways to. How are they interrelated? Is there a grand cosmic theory? Is there a grand super consciousness which somehow is all pervasive, which somehow deals with everything we do, we teach, we act, we think? And do we really think? So this was the framework. Fast forward, 2005 earthquake, 7.6 magnitude tremor that shattered most of our areas in the north. 87,000 people died, 3.5 million displaced. A huge rescue and rehabilitation effort obviously started immediately. The best part is that, yes, obviously the government, the military, and all the external and internal agencies and the NGOs and all of the international donors, they came in and they started helping. But the single most prohibitive force that acted were the common people. They were just common people, and we witnessed that in the, especially in Karachi. I was a part of those efforts which were there. And it was that time that again, that childhood mindset from dormancy, it came into action again in my mind. And I started making sense of whatever I could, I would think naively in my childhood. Now it started taking the shape of a question. And the question was, of all of our differences, political, social, cultural, color, caste, creed, religion, why? At the time of a crisis, at the time of distress, at the time of neediness, Why do humans just come together from nowhere? They come out to be such a resilient force that they actually can mold and change the way and the direction of things. Well, life moved on. The question was there. It went into dormancy again. But then after 5 years in 2012, with Hurricane Sandy in New York City, this came up again. And the same history repeated itself. There were efforts on the government level, on every level, but again, the vital force that acted in that scenario were again common people. That was the time in 2012 where I was busy in one of my shows with science and spirituality being the theme. And I was into the research of concepts of amalgamation of religion, spirituality, and science. So that was the best time. I started digging into things. I started digging into theories of interconnectedness and what they meant, and what did modern science, psychology, and philosophy said about it. It took me an year before I reached a certain mindset. I'll share with you two studies which helped me move into a direction of this why. In 2013, there was a study in a university in Georgia. I think its name was Epore University in Georgia, Atlanta. And this study, it was a very interesting study. They had mice, chuhe, they had mice in their cages, and the mice were subjected to a smell of a chemical called acetophenon. And that smell was like the smell of almonds and cherries. So the mice were subjected to that smell, and each time they were subjected to the smell, immediately after the smell, they were given a very minute scale electric shocks. This was done a number of times over a period of days. And what came out to be an amazing fact is that the mice developed a psyche in which they always knew that whenever they will smell that chemical, there would be an electric shock following. Fine. The mice were given the opportunity to offspring, and interestingly, the baby mice who were never subjected to that phenomena, they also inherited, rather genetically inherited, the same fear. They were never given electric shock, but when they smelled acetophenon, they just started running away, fleeing away. Like they knew that after this they will be given a shock, and they were never subjected to that shock. The third generation also had the same fear. So interestingly, it came out to be as a result of that study, and somehow, and this somehow is not discoverable even today, somehow that fear transmitted through genes. And when scientists researched into this phenomena and they wanted to find a clue in philosophy or psychology, they came around an astounding fact. And the fact is that this was postulated, rather theorized, by Carl Gustav Jung, the two fathers of psychology and psychoanalysis, Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. Jung postulated a theory in the early 20th century that there exists in the deepest portions of our mind a type of consciousness which he labeled as the collective unconscious, not subconscious, the collective unconscious. And Gustav Jung postulated that this unconscious is genetically inherited amongst human species. This is not something which you gain by your worldly experience. A child is born, he is born with that overall ancestral repository of data, and that data lies dormant inside your mind unless, and this is the interesting part which links to our topic, unless a crisis emerges. And when there is a situation, when there is a crisis, when there is some adversity, somehow your psyche taps into that repository, takes out the appropriate measures, positive or negative, whatever, that depends upon your person as well, your personality as well, and those measures are immediately deployed. Humans don't know this. I don't know this. I don't know in the normal circumstances that I have an access to a repository, a huge database of record that dates back to my 4 fathers. The mice research just proved 3 generations, but we don't know. Research is going on, active research is going on. So this was one thing. Some sort of interconnectedness exists between the very fabric of, between the very nature of things. The first clue which I got. The second, I always wanted that, fine, this clue is good, but this relates to psychology, and psychological analysis normally is supported by evidence which takes a very long time to be executed and furnished. I'm an engineer, so I wanted to know, is there any empirical mathematical evidence to this interconnectivity? And then I came across quantum physics. As you must be knowing, quantum physics is the science of the infinitesimally small subatomic particles. And these subatomic particles are the building blocks of nature. All of the matter, all of us which are around here are based upon these blocks. And I'm not talking about electrons, protons, and neutrons. I'm talking about particles which form these fundamental particles to the level of quark. And if somebody is interested, he or she can go and see the standard model in physics, 17 fundamental particles and forces of nature. The last one was the Higgs boson. Now, there is a foundational level concept in quantum physics which deals with the concept of quantum entanglement. Now, what is that entanglement? It says that there is an atom, let's assume subatomic particle here at my palm, and there is another subatomic particle at the other end of this galaxy, maybe millions and billions of light years away. Somehow, these two particles are so intricately and closely interconnected that if I change the state of this particle, this change of state is instantaneously reflected in that particle, which is billions of light years away. And this is hardcore science. Quantum physics is a bizarre phenomenon, but it has been so accurately mathematically proven. Your mobiles, your laptops, and the upcoming quantum computers are due to exploration and manifestation, technological manifestation of this phenomena. So nobody doubts its effect. Nobody. This was the second clue of interconnectedness, of a tight woven fabric in which everything somehow is linked and interconnected. I think this collective resilience is one instance of this overall interconnectivity. We are connected. We have our ancestral memories. We are connected in our materials through some sort of cosmic link, which quantum tells us. At the very time of a crisis, somehow, this spawns into action, and that is what we call collective resilience. So it's a small piece in the big puzzle. And the big puzzle, all of the science is up to, the theory of everything as postulated by Stephen Hawking, late. This is the core, this is the essence. So what's the takeaway? The takeaway for me, and I'll tell you, there is a song on YouTube, We Are All Connected. You can go to the YouTube and listen to that song. It's a 4-minute song. Top scientists of today, Carl Sagan, Richard Feynman, Tyson, DeGrasse Tyson, and Bill Nye. All of these 4 scientists who do a lot of TV shows as well. Their concepts about the biological, the chemical, the intergalactic, interconsciousness connectivity is in that song. Their quotes are there in that song. So what's the takeaway? We are all connected. After all of the research, I developed a new mindset. I developed a new approach towards life. And that approach is that whatever is said into religions, don't harm anybody, be good to everybody. The difference between good and evil. I do something good. Today's mindset has become that if I do something good, it has to be good for me. It has to be profitable for me. I'll be building a social media persona in which I will be liked, I'll be followed. It's all about me. The system is not designed for me. It is designed for us. What does all of this interconnectivity show? How does this collective resilience and all of the other stuff pop in? This shows that it is beyond oneself. It is the self. The self, I'm a small part of that self. We all are the small part of that self, but together we make that self. Rather, we mirror that self. So the boundaries of religion, science, spirituality are now being crossed by latest scientific research. And this is the kind of intellectual capacity which we need to develop, not only in this country, but globally. Very few people globally, even globally, not in Pakistan, even globally, very few scholars see the world in this way, but the number is increasing. The number is increasing. The boundaries of caste, color, and creed, the boundaries of religion, the boundaries of third, second, and first world, they are disseminating. They are being abolished. Why? Because science tells us that our thinking is not confined to mere individualistic approaches and benefits. It is rather a universal phenomena, and I am hopeful that this path will lead us, humanity, into something which we have been calling omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence, omnibenevolence, which some prefer to call cosmic consciousness and others prefer to call God. Thank you.
आपका yeah, sure. That's sure. Absolutely.
हाँ रोस्टर में
Ladies and gentlemen, please hold on for a few moments before we announce our next speaker. We apologize for the delay.
Check.
लैपटॉप कहाँ पर है? नीचे नीचे स्टेज के ऊपर
इधर
जहाँ सब कॉन्टेंट पर
बस और इस तरह
फ्रेम से आउट हो रहा है मेरे
Ooh.
करके थोड़ा वेट कीजिएगा कि मैं आपको अनाउंस करें ठीक है
Give me a second. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our next speaker, a multi-talented individual and a true visionary, Muhammad Iftikhar Yazdani. Muhammad Iftikhar Yazdani is not your average engineer. He is an entrepreneur, a media person, and an educationalist who believes in the immense potential of Pakistan's space sector. With an unwavering passion for exploring the cosmic wonders and a strong conviction that Pakistan can excel globally in this field, Muhammad Iftikhar Yazdani is here to ignite our imaginations and steam up our motivation for space. In his captivating talk titled Steaming Motivations for Space, Muhammad Iftikhar Yazdani will delve into the fascinating world of integrated perspectives. He will shed light on the cognitive and psychological vitality needed to navigate the paradox of choice and emphasize the importance of developing the space industry for the future generation of Pakistan, and humanity as a whole. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and motivated as Muhammad Iftikhar Yazdani takes us on an enlightening journey towards understanding the profound impact of space exploration on our lives and the limitless possibilities it holds. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Muhammad Iftikhar Yazdani as he shares his insights and passion for space at TEDxKIET Pakistan. Let's give him a round of applause.
Okay, how do I? Right. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. To be honest, I suffer from a thing called imposter syndrome, if you've ever heard of this. So whenever I'm on stage, my legs start shaking and I'm like, oh no. Although I've been doing this like forever, even when I'm in front of students, I have to practice my lecture overnight, like hours and hours. It's just like, oh, maybe there might be something wrong. What if, self-doubt. But again, listening to the two girls who came from Oman, and that was a source of let's call it inspiration for me. I was like, no, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. So my today's dose was you guys. Literally, were you guys? All right. So steaming motivation for space. I've been into the space sector, let's call it, for quite some time, in terms of education, of course, and eventually started taking up entrepreneurial, venture called Rahe Qamar. It started off as a Facebook page, literally. We were experimenting. Like I said earlier, there was no particular book to use as a manual and as to how to start a space company in Pakistan. Would it be an NGO, or would it be I don't know, something else, or should it be a single member company maybe, or have multiple directors? So we sort of experimented ourselves into it. We still are. We only registered like a year before COVID arrived, as an official space company in Pakistan, and we're like very happy about it. But literally like 4 or 5 years before that, we were still wondering. But that didn't stop us from doing outreach programs and experimenting because of my media strength, let's call it an experience. We went online. We traveled to US, we traveled to UAE. We were the only Pakistani company to actively represent ourselves and Pakistan when the UAE mission to Mars was announced. It was an amazing opportunity to actually see the Arab world getting into the space sector. We started on the lines of Carl Sagan's program. We started a show called Rahe Qamar on a local university radio channel, Rifa. And that went on for 2 seasons, and we were pretty happy. We've produced products, let's call it, people who've excelled, and we're really happy about it. We take pride in saying that one of our members, let's call it, at this moment, has actually like moved out into the space sector and is working in Thailand. Some who actively hosted the radio shows and attended them are now in Germany, and so we're pretty happy about it that at least we did seed a few things. Now, before boring you any further, just those pictures should speak for themselves. But my topic again, steaming, motivation for space. So now I'm going to actually be reading a bit of this because I've traveled from Islamabad and I'm like still in a thing or two in my head. So just bear with me. I would love to actually just stand here and just say things. I do that all the time, but I'm just bear with me. So now the global space economy last year was evaluated at approximately 498 billion US dollars. That's a lot of money. And we're not tapping into this, are we? Maybe we are, but no one knows. You would happen to see articles online comparing Saparco with ISRO and other stuff, but no counter narrative coming in, and it kind of worried us, to be honest. When we went out to speak on behalf of Saparco, literally, like, no, they're doing great stuff. It's just that they don't want to share with people. There must be rules and regulations which we are not aware of. And we sort of got our way into it and understood that, yes, there are. And they're doing great stuff. We're exporting things. We're providing service to other countries, but no one knows. And that's the problem. That's the problem. People are not sharing. And not sharing results in the fact that this particular negativity is being spread across, and on TV channels, etc. So we think, oh, Pakistan mein to sui bhi nahi banti. Yeah, right. Ask me. So that's not true. So today, allow me to welcome you all to a transformative journey of exploration. I'm going to introduce you to 5 different minds who have this remarkable collective resilience. So first, that's Salman and Tuba and Ehtisham, and I'll go on with the rest. So Salman loves science and reads a lot about it. Tuba loves technology. And surprisingly, Ehtisham, the guy on the corner, loves engineering. So he just engineers his things. He fiddles around with machineries and things. Ijaz is extremely creative. He loves arts. And Memuna, even while she's walking, she thinks in numbers. Oh, okay, angle of, this is there, that thing is there. So surprise, surprise. These 5 are the fantastic 5 STEAM. So science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Together, they could form the real collective resilience that is needed to get into that space sector. And we're struggling, but we'd love to, hear from you. We're still experimenting. You can tell us, oh, your formula doesn't work here and there. Definitely in the business side, definitely. I'm not a business grad, just trying to learn. But yeah, I'd be happy to listen. But here's the fantastic 5 who could join hands, but they don't. Why don't they? That's because at home, the science kid is told, arts wale se dosti na karna. Okay? You might stand alone, or you might lose your grades, things like that. Maths, same thing. Oh, usse na karna, etc., etc. Well, we've set standards on 3 or 4 particular areas, and that's pretty much it. We're not bringing them together into a single, collective resilience sort of thing, bringing them together to work and actually develop something, amazing that could have happened, maybe not just the space sector, but others, So space, definitely multidisciplinary. Just think about it. It's not something it's not a sector where you'll just find scientists. It's not a sector where you'll find just engineers. That's not true. If you talk to people who are nowadays probably in Pakistan Air Force or Saparco or any other organization, probably NASA, European Space Agency, they will tell you, and depending on their age, maybe, but that they somehow got inspired by H.G. Wells or Star Trek or Star Wars. Who were those guys who produced that? They were from the art side, but they joined hands with actual scientists that, hey, this is even possible. Let's just work it out. Back when such production was not even possible. Yet, 2023, not a single science fiction thing or video, movie, TikTok video can be seen anywhere. Why? Because have we lost the imagination? What's wrong with us? is I'm not saying, I'm not demeaning anyone who does those TikTok videos with demented actions in front of the camera, but is that it? Is that how creative we could get? Can't we think beyond the skies? And that's where our startup comes in, and we try to push the boundaries, and we tell people to delve into things, be part of the Fantastic Five, increase that to Fantastic 23 million, or I don't know, more. But that's not the end of story. Nope. In our quest to unlock the mysteries of the cosmos, these 5 minds, and you too, you could just be part of them, will help all of us navigate the realm of peak performance. Now, how do you quantify that peak performance? Listen carefully. Harnessing the immense potential of human brain power. Yeah. And making crucial decisions, taking crucial decisions that shape timelines and our trajectory as a nation. Remember, our target. What is our target as humans? Keep exploring. That's it. You are born an explorer. You walk, you explore. You crawl, and then you walk. I don't know if someone has done it the other way, but you explore. My kids, they fell. We said, fine, just they'll learn. So they explored. This is part of our DNA. This is what we are. It doesn't matter if you're exploring on Earth or out there. That's what we're doing. So remember, our target as humans. Now, in this cosmic odyssey, let's call it, the Fantastic Five will be confronted. These kids will be confronted with, and the same thing you've probably been confronted with the same thing as well, with the need to compensatory control a strategic approach, we call it, in engineering particularly, that allows us humans to optimize our cognitive capacity by simplifying complex tasks. Yes, that could be the magical formula. It works, at least in space, by recognizing our biological prime time and energy peaks. Now, this might sound very poetic, but it is true. We have our energy peaks, our prime times. I don't know about you guys, but at 2, if you wake up at 7, sometime around daytime, you'll probably fall asleep and not be productive. There's been research going on, that's where you need to find your biological prime time. Some people say 12 baje ke baad amad hoti hai. Well, that might be their biological prime time, and energy peaks. But it's great. I mean, we all have our own clocks. We can't just tick the same way, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, so the Fantastic Five can team up. That's the basic thing. We haven't been teaming up. All of you guys, forget you guys. I shouldn't be even saying this. The universities that I usually lecture and teach and train in, I ask them to let me create a team, and they're like, no. We'll create our own team. They're so afraid of teaming up with, or maybe there are some likes or dislikes. They don't know that when you are employed anywhere, you will probably end up with a good person or a bad person, or many versions in between, many shades in between. You just have to live with it. But the ultimate goal is teaming up to do something great. As a company, as a nation, you might not like one person, but if that person has talent in some area that you're weak, you might want to team up with that person to achieve a task, instead of teaming up with a friend जो final year project में जाके सिर्फ खड़ा होके कहेगा ये देखिए हमने ये बनाया था. That's I've gone through this, so I know. So align your rhythms, and these 5 Fantastic Five should align their rhythms and assign focused attention to tasks that demand their best performances will come up, they'll join hands and build something great. And that's how it works. And probably sounds more like, like the famous E is equal to MC squared, but it is. It is. It's just that it's a simplified version to explain that you can mix intelligence and emotion together, to actually reach your peak potential. Yeah. And yeah, if I think that makes sense. As humans, revive our brain power and engage in cognitively demanding work. A lot of brain power, thinking, doing things. We must navigate the paradox of choice. And what more, when you end up embracing binary comparisons, you're like, yes or no. It really helps. It really helps because you need to prioritize. I learned it the hard way. I wanted to do everything when I did my engineering. I wanted to run a company. I wanted to sing a song. I wanted to make a movie. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to do everything. I wanted even to be an astronaut. And I was like, I can't do any of that if I don't prioritize and decide what is needed immediately and what could I push forward. Making money became my top priority for well, that said, let's just think of the Eisenhower matrix. You don't need to read this. I'll just explain. So don't worry about this. It's a powerful tool. For those who have the business background, you probably know or you've heard of similar processes where you're like you compare the pros and cons. But with the Eisenhower matrix, you have to decide which part is urgent and important, and then which part is important and maybe less urgent, and accordingly. So there are quadrants. Each quadrant explains, how you would actually navigate from your choices and prioritize what you want and what you don't want, and in pursuit of excellence, of course. Now, let's just think about it for a while, and think that the Fantastic Five are waiting for you to suggest what to do next. So this quadrant is for the important and urgent. You would note down, take this as a practice. You need to note down, you take it as a practice categorically. If you want to write it down, write it down. Eisenhower matrix. So what you need to do is create these quadrants and then write down what is important for a particular point or topic or target that you want to achieve, and timelines. This is great for project management and time management together. It's something I've always been horrible at. But again, while we're saying steaming your way into space, here it is. So let's do this. The second quadrant, important, but not urgent. So you need to divide your things into quadrants with importance and urgency. Importance, the higher the importance, goes up. The higher the urgency goes on to the other quadrants. Okay, so I'll just skip to the souped up part. Let me just see if I can actually go there. Yep, brilliant. So this task itself, formulating a comprehensive national policy. If we want to build the space industry, forget about university. You're creating students, but where do they go? Where do they go? Someone who's studied aerospace engineering, the only potential job opening that person will think of is probably the defense sector, which is great. I'm not saying it's not great, but how many positions can the defense sector hold? What about the private sector? How does that work? Well, we formulate, and this is what we suggest. So our priority should be formulating a comprehensive national space strategy. And that's what we're working on slowly and gradually at Rahe Qamar. We've decided, we've not really stopped, but thawed a lot of our projects, which were outreach, like going to universities and saying, hey, let's show you the moon. What next? Nothing much is happening. There are a lot of clubs. Are we just a club? As a company, what do? We create a think tank. And that think tank creates a policy paper, suggests it to the government. Here, this is how things could move forward. Creates a framework, creates objectives and incentives, attracts investments. Very important. But no one would be ready to invest in the space sector. No one is ready to invest in Rahe Qamar anyway, because there's no national space policy. They're like, what's your country's space policy? Why would we want to invest in your company? You're a private company, fine. Doesn't make sense. So that's really important. It should, I mean, and then what does national space policy comprise of? Well, you could include satellite development related things, regulatory matters, launch capabilities, any embargoes applied or not applied, international collaborations, commercial space activities, and a lot more. All of these are really important. And then, of course, establishing, most important. So we've been in contact. We're trying to establish partnerships with international space agencies and organizations. If I could just, I'd be happy to just go back to the first screen. I could show you that there was a moment I was able to actually interact with someone at NASA, and this was my first. And I was like really happy that, okay, they've got Rahe Qamar entered in the database. For us, it was like a milestone. And that's our line, like every step we take is a milestone for us. But, so establishing partnerships, you get to know the world gets to know you. There's exchange, international networking. You go to events like space congresses, you hold events in Pakistan, like such as space congresses, conferences, and seminars, and let people know that things need to be done. And I'm being told that I need to wrap it up. Ooh, okay. So I'll be really quick. There's a lot to talk about. And then obviously I'll just skip to investing in research. So the national policy should create avenues for investment in research and development of space technology. They are doing it. There's a great I think it's the aviation city that's in the making, and NASTAP and other things which are in the formation, which is great. Yet again, the national space policy is still missing. So I really hope that they'll be working on those lines sooner or later. That said, I'll just, okay, if you could just allow me to, I'll quickly skip to, not skip, but just the filled up quadrants. So you can see what, just a second. Yeah, sorry, there you go. So much for the imposter syndrome. When I start talking, then I just talk. So, investing in STEM, moving on to, okay, this is frozen, so I can't move to the next slide. Help here. Okay, I can now. Thank you. So just quickly skipping to, and what's the least important? Let's just, so I'll probably put this online and you can just read it. But I mean, the most important, you've just heard me talk. Let's just go to the least important. And the least important would be engaging in unnecessary bureaucratic procedures or paperwork. Getting caught up in non-essential meetings, absolutely, or activities, okay? So that's like literally non-essential. Anything that's not related to space, getting caught up with that would slow you down if you want to enter into the space sector. And it has actually slowed us down quite a bit. Nonetheless, this actually should be the perfect tool for you, not just for the general space sector, but specifically if you want to create solutions for STEM and STEAM related, applications or solutions or services that you'd want to develop. Go ahead. We could, ultimately have, just a second, I'm lost here. Yeah. So we could actually work on creating a conducive environment. These kind of solutions, no one knows, but this is genuinely from Pakistan. And if these could be perhaps extended to the private sector, or let the private sector get into this, not the facilities, but actually create such solutions, because these are now available and can be done. We have as an organization been happily creating maps, interactive maps, and we'll be soon adding AI to it for satellite satellite imagery and visualization. So the market is huge. There's a lot of potential. The entire Africa could be your client if you start thinking about it. And last but not the least, I'm going to close it here. I'm not going to go to my last slide. No worries, you're going to kill me. But this picture, please bear with me. I mean, this picture is so important because it is just a picture of an astronaut probably watering the plant. Okay. But did you know, that this plant was actually grown on the moon by China? It was actually grown on the moon. So this might be fiction, but this is an actual real picture of the plant being grown on the moon. And that, I'll just wrap it up here. This leads to the prospects that if we could get those fantastic 5 in our country to join hands, and not just fantastic 5, the fantastic 23 million or more. I don't know how many, whatever the number of people. I don't know how many would be interested in STEAM, but I mean, I'm happy if the number grows and we could team up to build the space industry for Pakistan. Thank you.
अभी ये लोग लंच पे जाएंगे ना, हम लोग सेपरेट रेडी करते हैं. Now I would like to call on stage the president of KIET University, AVM retired, Mr. Usaidur Rahman Usmani, to present the shield to the rest of the TEDx speakers. इसको मैं बाद में हटवा दूंगा. So first of all, we have the student of KIET, Miss Nusha Zubairi. Next, we have the faculty of KIET, Mr. Kamran Ali Khan. And last but not the least, Mr. Iftikhar Yazdani. Now it's a small request that all of the speakers come and have a group picture along with the TEDx logo before we move on to the lunch break. I would request all of the speakers to please come on stage for a group photograph. जी please आगे आ जाए. Sir, आ जाए. Yeah, no, of course. Sir, Ashraf sir. Ashraf, start working on that. Sir, वो TEDx speaker नहीं. अच्छा ठीक है. स्पीकर्स जी, स्पीकर्स अब और नहीं स्पीकर से वो भी हमारे पास